Hello everyone, I am Thao and I am currently a last year student in Vietnam National University, majoring in international relations. So, when I first encountered the theme, Your Voice Built the Future, I didn't immediately embrace it as a universal truth. For a long time, I questioned whether an individual voice, especially the voice of someone young and still figuring out their place in the world, could realistically shape anything beyond the small circle of everyday life. After all, we live in a world where global agendas are set by government, where narratives are shaped by media giants, and where decisions that affect millions are made far above our head. In a landscape like that, it is easy to assume that one voice, like my voice, is simply too small to matter. But as I grew up, I began noticing something subtle yet profound. Every turning point in my own life always began with a voice. Not a loud one, not a famous one, simply a moment when someone dared to say something honest. And those moments, small as they seem, shaped my direction in ways I've never expected. The first time this became real to me was during my high school, when I was preparing for an opportunity I desperately wanted, a competition that to me at that time felt impossibly out of reach. I told no one about it because I was afraid that speaking it aloud would expose how ambitious or even unrealistic I was. I convinced myself that silence was a form of protection. And then one afternoon, a teacher noticed how I kept volunteering for smaller tasks, but avoid anything that truly reflected my abilities. She simply said, if you don't speak the things you want, people will assume you don't want them. It wasn't a dramatic moment. There was no applause, no music swelling behind her words. But that simple sentence changed something fundamental in me. If I didn't articulate my goals, even quietly, I would forever be waiting for the world to somehow guess them. And the world, as I learned, rarely guesses right. That conversation taught me that silence doesn't keep you safe, it keeps you unseen. And unseen people don't get to shape the future they hope for. This idea isn't just true on a personal level. History is full of examples of proving that clarity of purpose, even in a single individual, can change the course of entire nations. Consider the story of Malala Yousafzai, the young girl from Pakistan who refused to accept the girl should be denied education. She didn't begin with an international platform. She began with a diary and a conviction. Her voice was quietly at first, then threatened, then nearly silenced, but it never lost clarity. And because she spoke, millions of others found the courage to speak too. Her voice didn't reshape the world in one moment. It reshaped it by shifting the global conversation, by turning a girl's personal experience into a universal call for justice. Or look at Nelson Mandela, whose voice carried through 27 years of imprisonment. He didn't have a microphone, a stage, or freedom. What he had was a clear moral direction expressed not through loudness, but through wavering consistency. What these two very different people remind us is that the strength of a voice is not born from volume or fame. It comes from knowing what you stand for and being willing to say it, even when you stand alone. We often underestimate the ripple effect of sincerity. We imagine impact as something requiring thousands of listeners, but in reality, futures often shift through one conversation at a time. A friend confiding in you, a classmate hearing your perspective, a community gradually changing how it thinks. All of these begin with one person deciding to articulate what matters to them. Your voice may not reach the world, but it will reach someone. And when it reaches the right person at the right moment, the future shifts, not dramatically, but quietly and powerfully. The more I allow myself to speak, in classroom, in group projects, or eventually in competition like this, the more I realize that the person who benefits most from using their voice is often the speaker themselves. Speaking requires you to think with discipline, to clarify what you believe, and to commit the value to put into words. In that way, your voice doesn't just build the external feature, it builds the internal architecture of who you become. You move from someone who hoped for direction to someone who defined it, from someone who waits to someone who participates. And that transformation, though quietly, is profound. Your voice doesn't have to be flawless or revolutionary. It only needs to be present. Because the future is not built with the loudest voice, nor the boldest, nor the most confident. It is built by the voice that show up consistently, sincerely, and with the courage to articulate what they believe, even when no one has asked. And so, when we say, your voice built the future, we aren't reciting a slogan. We aren't acknowledging the truth that history, experience, and human connection repeat again and again. That every time you speak with clarity and purpose, you become a participant in shaping what comes next. The future will not be built without speech. It should not be built without yours. Thank you everyone for listening to my perspective. Thank you.